If you're watching this video right now, you are probably wondering why your Google ads are not getting impressions. Now, there could be a wide range of reasons for why this is happening, so I'm going to walk you through every single one of them as quickly as I can and efficiently as I can so you can figure out exactly what's going on with your Google Ads account and why you're not getting impressions on your ads. So let's get right into it. To start with, as you can see, I have classified it under all campaigns, search campaigns, and shopping campaigns, because generally you'll never have trouble getting impressions on PMax, on display, on any of those top of funnel campaign types. It's only going to be search or shopping, sometimes PMax potentially, but that's covered under all campaigns here. So what are the reasons that you are not getting impressions on your ads? First of all, you may just have a restrictive budget, right? So with Google, obviously Google Ads is pay per click. So you pay for each click that someone does on your ad to take them through to your website, right? Now, if you have a higher budget, you can obviously afford more clicks. So if you have a very low budget, a very restrictive budget, you're not going to get many impressions. You're not going to get many clicks. If Google sees that you have a very low budget, it won't show your ads to many people because it doesn't think you're going to be able to pay for the clicks. So therefore, you will not be getting many impressions. You'll not be getting many clicks. Make sure your budget is aligned with your market. All right, then it could be restrictive geo-targeting. This is another one that could happen across any campaign type. If you are targeting a very, very small area, whether it's just like a single postcode or a very small radius or a small town with not a very big population, Google is going to struggle to show your ads to enough people to hit your budget sometimes, right? The more regions you can target, the more potential people you can target, and the more potential impressions you can get, and the more clicks by nature of that, right? So you need to make sure that you are targeting a big enough geographical area. If you do have a very restricted area that you can service, then make sure that you have very broad keywords, because otherwise, if you have very narrow keywords and a very narrow area, you're naturally just going to cap out on your maximum market size very, very early on. So make sure your geo-targeting isn't too restricted and you're not pulling yourself back in that way. Finally, restrictive bidding strategies. Now, this one is a little more complex, but it can occur across pretty much every campaign type, including something like PMax now. So what it can do is it can prevent Google from bidding on keywords because you're basically restricting Google and telling it to only bid in very ideal and specific situations and circumstances. So for example, if you are using any of these bidding modifiers in your campaigns, you could be suffering from restrictive bidding strategies. First of all, low max CPC. So if you're using manual CPC or if you're using maximize clicks with a CPC bid limit, or even a portfolio bidding strategy with a CPC bid limit, anything where you're entering a manual CPC bid limit, if your bid limit is very low, Google's not going to show your ads to many people because it can't afford many auctions to bid on, and it won't be able to bid on as many, show your ad to as many people, and get as many clicks for you. Make sure your CPC maximums aren't too low, otherwise you'll restrict yourself. Next up, a high TROAS. So what is TROAS? If you're using the maximize conversions bidding strategy, you also have an option to enable a TROAS, so a target ROAS. Basically tells Google, hey Google, I want you to try and get this return on ad spend from my ad spend. I want you to get this return and try and hit that number, right? So if you set a very high TROAS, if you tell Google, I want you to get me a 10x ROAS on all of my ad spend, it's going to struggle and it's going to try and show your ads to only the highest intent people who are very, very likely to purchase. Chances are there aren't a whole lot of those people out there because there never are for any brand. There's only a very select, limited number of people who are those super high intent customers. And if this TROAS is way above your standard ROAS, if you're getting like an 8x and you tell Google, hey, get a 10x, that might be achievable. But if you're getting a 2x and you tell Google, hey, get a 10x, then it's very unlikely that's going to occur. And as a result, Google's not going to show your ads to many people because it realizes that it has to squeeze out as much as possible from your highest intent customers to even get a chance at hitting that ROAS. So it's not going to show your ads to anyone unless they're really, really highly qualified. And as a result, you're not going to get many impressions, not going to get many clicks. So make sure your TROAS goals aren't too high in your account. Next up, a low TCPA. It's basically just the inverse of TROAS. So it's the maximize conversions bidding strategy. You can enable the TCPA setting. If you have a TCPA setting enabled and you set it very, very low, what you will find is that once again, Google's only going to search for your highest intent customers. And as a result, it's going to limit your reach and you're not going to be able to show your ad to enough people to get a lot of impressions and a lot of clicks. So make sure that you don't set your TCPA too low because you don't want to set an overly ambitious cost per acquisition goal, and don't set your TROAS too high because you don't want to set an overly ambitious ROAS goal. So those are the restrictions that exist across all campaign types and could be preventing you from getting the impressions and the clicks that you're looking for. Next up, search campaigns. So these are search campaign specific things that could be reducing your impressions and clicks. First of all is low search volume. So you need to make sure that the market actually has an existing demand for your product or service. There are a lot of products out there and a lot of services out there that are just too niche to run on Google at scale. You can still run at to a very small market, to a specific market, but you can only scale to a certain point before you start capping out. Naturally, there are only so many people in your market, and as a result, you will cap out more quickly than other brands. If you want to identify what potential search volume exists for your brand, you can use the Google Keyword Planner, which you can find under Tools, Planning, Keyword Planner in your account. You use either of these settings here, discover new keywords or search volume and forecasts, and you can get an idea of exactly how many people are searching for your service or product, how much it'll cost you to bid on it, and what the estimates are for your market. So I recommend using that tool if you are concerned that you may have a low search volume in your market. But I will say that most advertisers and most brand owners typically underestimate the amount of demand that exists in their market, especially globally. If you are able to service all over the world, you will likely find that there is more demand available for your product than you may have previously expected. So outside of low search volume, you could also be using overly restrictive match types. So on your search campaigns, you may have keywords that are in exact match, right? Exact match is denoted by the square brackets here, and it is the most strict match type you can use in Google Ads. Basically, it only restricts your keyword matching to very, very similar search terms to what your keywords are. So for example, if your keyword is 4-slot toaster, you will only get matches for something like 4-slot toaster, toaster with 4 slots, etc., etc. You probably wouldn't get matches for 2 or 3-slot toasters, maybe at a stretch, but very, very tight matching to specific terms. Phrase match, on the other hand, denoted by these speech marks here, is slightly more broad and less restrictive. So it will allow your keywords to be matched to a wider variety of search terms. For example, if you had, once again, 4-slot toaster, it may start matching to things like toaster oven or new toaster I need, or something like that, right? New toaster buy now. Any kind of Google search that may denote intent for buying a toaster. Broad match, on the other hand, is very, very broad. So broad can almost match with anything across the internet. I rarely recommend using broad match. I only recommend using it if you were using automated bidding with a lot of conversion data in the account. For most accounts, you want to start with exact or phrase, but if you're using exact match and you find that you're just not getting many impressions or many clicks, open up to phrase match, give it a chance on phrase match. If you still find you're not getting many impressions, many clicks, open up to broad match and just see what kind of results you get. Every layer of match type gives you more expansion, more audiences, more impressions, and more clicks. So expand out if necessary if you have very restrictive match types at present in your account. Next up, not enough keywords. Now this is probably the simplest one on search that could be preventing you from getting the volume you need. In most cases, it's actually not an issue because most people will put in like 25 keywords in their campaign thinking they need all of them to get traffic. In reality, you only really need 5 to 10 phrase match keywords, if that, to get most of the relevant traffic in your targeted region. You can scale up a search campaign with 5 to 10 phrase match keywords to, $500, $1,000 a day, even more potentially. So I generally don't recommend going beyond that number of keywords. However, if you find that you just simply can't get the volume with the keywords you're targeting, consider expanding out of really obvious keywords. So start moving into things that are less obvious and can still represent an opportunity for a conversion. So for example, competitor search opportunities. So you may have people who are searching for your competitors' brand names, but you offer a superior service to that competitor. You should be running an ad on that competitor's brand name to try and bring them through to your page, to your brand, to your website, and then converting them, right? And this may be a search keyword that you haven't previously considered, but I've seen it perform really well on certain accounts. It is very important to make sure that if you are going to bid on your competitor's terms, you have to have a better offer or a better product than that competitor. If you have an inferior product, no one is going to jump over to your brand because they already clearly know about the competitor and they already have some level of trust built with that competitor. Next up, targeting top of funnel search opportunities. Now this one's a little bit more complex, a little bit more advanced, but you can look into targeting the actual pain points of your brand rather than purchase intent keywords. So let's say you're selling a mattress. The obvious keywords for something like a mattress would be mattress near me, queen mattress, king mattress for sale, queen mattress free shipping, whatever it may be. However, the less obvious terms could be back pain after sleeping, right? Someone searching for back pain after sleeping probably does need a new mattress, but obviously it requires a lot more effort to convert that person. So what you'd want to do is send them through to a page like this one, where basically it has a how-to page that educates the user, explains why your product is great, explains how it's going to fix their problem and remove their pain point. And it usually doesn't have like an immediate CTA above the fold. It's usually more of an educational page to lead them through and convince them that they should buy your product. This is something you can consider targeting. It doesn't always have the same conversion rates as bottom of funnel traffic. It is harder to convert, but if you get this right, if you nail this and you get profitable traffic in these top of funnel opportunities, it can be an absolute goldmine, because you can imagine how many people are searching for something like back pain after sleeping every single day. So when you do get it right, it can be a huge amount of money. It opens up a really big potential audience, but you just have to be careful because there's really advanced competitors in these kind of arenas. And if you aren't coming in on your A game, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity. All right, shopping campaigns now. This is the last one, and as you can see, we've got some trending products down here, which I'm going to walk you through. But there are a couple of reasons why your shopping campaigns may not be getting impressions or clicks. First of all, you may have a poor GMC optimization. So in your Google Merchant Center, you may not have enough information in your listing. So in your title, in your description, in your product details, your GTIN, your product categorization, your color, your size, your gender, everything in your product information that indicates what your product is, it all needs to be filled out in a detailed manner. Now, I've got a whole video on exactly how to do this. I walk you through live on how to optimize a Google Merchant Center product. So if you want to watch it, just check out this video here, live optimizing a product in Google Merchant Center. You can find that one on my channel. I think it'll be really helpful for you, and it should show you exactly what you need to do to optimize your product and make sure that you are maximizing your opportunity with your GMC listings and your shopping campaigns. So check out that video if you think your GMC products aren't optimized well. Some key red flags are basically like a really short description without any effective keywords or targeting of your ideal customers, a really short title, a title that hasn't really thought out your major selling points or your major keywords that people are searching for. So just make sure that you check out this video if you think this could be an issue. The other thing, very, very similar to search, is a low product search volume. So does the market actually have existing demand for your product? There are a lot of products out there that just simply don't have demand due to the way that the market is currently positioned. For example, fidget spinners, right? I mean, this is a massive craze back in probably 2018, 2017, something like that. And nowadays, I don't think I've seen one in several years. So if you decide to start selling fidget spinners tomorrow on Google, that was a mouthful, you would probably have a really poor uptake and you probably wouldn't get many searches for your product because people aren't really interested in buying it anymore. And this is, a very extreme example, but this can occur in pretty much any industry. If you have a product that's just simply waning out of the market and is no longer something that's popular, people aren't going to be searching for it, they're not going to be finding it and shopping, and they're not going to be buying it. Now, on the other hand, if you have a very high demand product, like a Labubu toy, very high chance that people are going to be searching for it and buying from you. So I'd imagine that this seller right here is probably getting a lot of sales from this toy because it has really high demand. You can see they have a really good Google Merchant Center listing, clean image, reviews, free delivery, 7-day returns, a good title. This is like a prime GMC listing. They probably make a lot of money off this ad, and it costs $600. So yeah, make sure that there is demand for your product. Once again, you can check this through the Google Keyword Planner. Make sure that under the Keyword Planner, people are searching for the product that you're selling before you start running ads and spending money. So that's a breakdown of why your Google ads aren't getting impressions. The last thing to mention as well is it could just be a matter of time. If you've just launched your campaign yesterday, give it a couple more days, especially if you have a completely fresh account. Google can take some time to get those first impressions, first clicks in when you are starting anew and when you have new campaigns. It just needs to learn, just needs to take a bit of time to try and scope out your ideal audience, and then it will start getting clicks and impressions if all your settings are on point and you've nailed everything that I mentioned in this video here. That's all for me today though. I hope you found this one very helpful. If you need some help getting more impressions, getting more clicks, optimizing your Google Merchant Center, doing anything at all, please feel free to book a call with me down below. We are Google Ads experts and we have helped many, many brand owners make a lot of money with Google. So I'd be more than happy to help out. Otherwise, if you have any suggestions for future videos, anything you're struggling with, please just drop a comment down below. I'd be happy to make a new video on it in the future for you. But other than that, that's all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this one and I'll see you in the next one.